Echoes in the Pines Part 1. The first thing that struck me was how quiet it was. Real quiet, not just no cars quiet or nature sounds quiet, but a kind of silence that sat heavy in the air. That should have been our first clue. There were 6 of us: Jamie, the planner and gear nut; Sarah, the horror fanatic who dragged us into this trip; Ben, always the skeptic; Lena, quiet but observant; Carlos, loud and always joking; and me, Eli, the one who'd never wanted to go but said yes anyway. We had driven 5 hours into the thick of the Appalachian Mountains, past towns with populations so small their post offices were in gas stations. The dirt road twisted up through pines and moss-draped trees, leading us to a rarely used campground marked only by a rotting wooden sign that read, "Whispering Hollow Trail closed," but Sarah had insisted this was the place. "There's a story behind it," she'd said, flashing that unsettling grin she got when something creepy excited her. "Campers vanished here in the 90s. Locals don't even come up this way." Perfect, right? I had laughed then, nervously. But now, standing beside our parked van in a clearing swallowed by shadowy forest, that laughter felt a million miles away. The campsite was basic, just a ring of stones for fire, a couple of rotting logs for benches, and nothing else. No nearby cabins, no ranger station, no sign of recent use. We set up our tents before sunset. Jamie and Sarah shared one. Ben and Carlos took another. Lena and I got stuck together, mostly because we were the only ones who hadn't claimed a spot early. We didn't talk much, just nodded and got to work. She was always like that, quiet, observant, serious. By the time night fell, we were sitting around the fire, hot dogs on sticks, beer in hand, and stars starting to peek out above the canopy. The initial unease faded, replaced with laughter and old stories. Then, of course, Sarah started in. "Do you guys know about the Whispering Hollow disappearances?" Carlos rolled his eyes. "Here we go. No, really. This area, this exact place, we're sitting in the middle of it. In 1997, 3 hikers went missing here. No trace. Search dogs went crazy but found nothing. In 2004, a couple came out here to camp. Vanished. And in 2011, get this, a park ranger checking the trail didn't come back." Jamie raised an eyebrow. "You sure about all this?" "Look it up when we get back." I found a thread on the survivalist forum. Locals call it the Hollow Curse. People say they hear voices at night, whispers that sound like someone they know. Some say it's the trees talking. Others say it's something older. The fire popped, shooting sparks upward. We all fell quiet. "I heard something," Lena said suddenly. Her voice was barely above a whisper. "What kind of something?" I asked as she looked toward the trees. "A voice." Sarah beamed. "See? It's starting already." "It's probably just an echo," Ben said, waving her off. "This place has weird acoustics." But I felt it too. That hush. That pressure. Like the forest was listening. That night, I couldn't sleep. The wind moved through the trees, but it didn't sound natural. It moved in waves, like it was circling. Around 凌晨2点, I heard it. A soft, distant whisper. I sat up in the tent. Lena was already awake, sitting cross-legged, listening. You hear that? I asked. She nodded. It said your name. My skin crawled. We unzipped the tent and stepped outside. The fire had gone out, but the moon was full and bright. We scanned the woods. Nothing. Then Ben shouted from his tent, very funny, "Guys, who's out there whispering like a creep?" I thought it was you. Carlos snapped. We stood in silence. From all around us came the sound, soft voices, as if dozens of people were whispering from behind the trees. Then a single voice rang out clear, cold, and close. Eli. I froze. That was my dad's voice. He died 3 years ago. I turned toward the sound. My legs moved before I realized it. I stepped into the woods. Eli. Lena grabbed my arm. Don't go in there. I heard him. I whispered. You didn't. It's not him. Behind us, Jamie screamed. Echoes in the pines. Part 2. The descent. Word count. Approximate. 5,000. Jamie's scream cut through the night, sharp and raw. Lena and I spun around, our flashlights slicing through the darkness toward the source. The others were already scrambling out of their tents, eyes wide with fear. Jamie! Sarah's voice trembled as she rushed toward their tent. We found Jamie standing just outside the tent, her face pale and eyes fixed on the tree-line. She was shaking, her breath coming in ragged gasps. What happened? Ben demanded, scanning the woods with his flashlight. Jamie swallowed hard, her voice barely above a whisper. I saw someone. Standing right there. She pointed toward a gap between the trees. It was a woman. She looked wrong. Her eyes were all black. Carlos let out a nervous laugh. Come on, Jamie. You're just spooked. Probably a shadow or something. But Jamie shook her head vehemently. No! She was there. I swear. Lena's grip on my arm tightened. We need to leave, she said softly, her eyes darting around the dark forest. Sarah, ever the skeptic, crossed her arms. We're miles from civilization. Where would we go in the middle of the night? Besides, it's probably just our minds playing tricks on us. Ben nodded in agreement. Yeah, let's not jump to conclusions. We're all tired. Let's get some rest and talk about this in the morning. Reluctantly, we all returned to our tents, though sleep was elusive. The whispers continued, ebbing and flowing like the wind, always just beyond comprehension. Morning brought little relief. The forest felt different, heavier. The usual chirping of birds was absent, replaced by an oppressive silence. We gathered around the cold fire pit, the remnants of last night's unease hanging over us. We should pack up and head back, Lena suggested, her eyes shadowed from lack of sleep. Sarah frowned. Come on, guys. We came all this way. We can't let a little scare ruin our trip. A little scare? Jamie's voice was sharp. I know what I saw, Sarah. Carlos raised his hands in a placating gesture. Okay, okay. How about a compromise? We stick close to camp today, no wandering off. If anything else weird happens, we leave first thing tomorrow. After some hesitation, we agreed. The day was spent in uneasy companionship, each of us lost in our own thoughts. Even Sarah seemed subdued, her usual enthusiasm dampened as dusk approached. The tension among us grew palpable. The fire was lit more for comfort than warmth, its flickering light casting long shadows. Did anyone else hear the whispers last night? I finally asked, breaking the silence. Ben nodded slowly. Yeah, thought I was dreaming at first, but they were real. Lena shivered. They sounded like my mom. She used to sing this lullaby when I was little. I heard it last night. Carlos looked around at us, his usual bravado gone. I heard my brother. He kept saying my name. Sarah's face was pale. I didn't want to say anything, but I heard my grandmother. She passed away when I was 10. We sat in silence, the crackling fire the only sound to Jamie broke the quiet. What if those stories are true? About the people who disappeared here? No one had an answer. That night, sleep was a distant hope. The whispers began earlier, just as the last light of day faded. They were clearer now, more insistent. Around midnight, a low, rhythmic drumming joined the whispers. It seemed to come from deep within the forest, a steady thump, thump, thump that resonated in our chests. I couldn't take it anymore. Grabbing my flashlight, I unzipped the tent. Eli, don't. Lena's voice was urgent. I just need to see, I replied, stepping out into the cool night. The others were emerging from their tents as well, drawn by the unsettling sounds. Do you hear that? Jamie whispered. We nodded, forming a tight circle around the dying fire. The drumming grew louder, accompanied by the unmistakable sound of footsteps, many footsteps moving in unison. From the shadows of the trees, figures began to emerge. They moved stiffly, their faces obscured by darkness. But their eyes glowed with an unnatural light. Panic surged through us. Run! Ben shouted. We scattered, each of us sprinting in different directions into the forest. Branches whipped against my face as I ran blindly, the whispers and drumming surrounding me. My breath came in ragged gasps, fear propelling me forward. Suddenly, the ground gave way beneath me. I tumbled down a steep embankment, landing hard at the bottom. Pain shot through my ankle as I tried to stand. Eli! Lena's voice called out, distant but desperate. I'm here! I shouted back, wincing as I put weight on my injured ankle. A flashlight beam cut through the darkness, landing on me. Lena scrambled down the slope, concern etched on her face. We have to keep moving, she urged, helping me up. Leaning on her for support, we pressed on. The sounds of pursuit growing ever closer. Part 2. Jamie's scream cut through the night, sharp and raw. Lena and I spun around, our flashlights slicing through the darkness toward the source. The others were already scrambling out of their tents, eyes wide with fear. Jamie! Sarah's voice trembled as she rushed toward their tent. We found Jamie standing just outside the tent, her face pale and eyes fixed on the trailing. She was shaking, her breath coming in ragged gasps. What happened? Ben demanded, scanning the woods with his flashlight. Jamie swallowed hard, her voice barely above a whisper. I saw someone. Standing right there. She pointed toward a gap between the trees. It was